Way back a couple years ago when I first started this channel, I was doing a lot of Blackstone Fortress content, and very recently I started bridging into Dawn of War content. Now that coincided with the announcement of Dawn of War 4, but that wasn't intentional. So in the interest of not coming across as a filthy shill, I wanted to show a little bit of my past obsession with Blood Ravens, Dawn of War as a series, and kind of what I'm doing now. With the hype surrounding Dawn of War 4, I've been reflecting on both the series and my overall experience with the Warhammer hobby. For me, the two are connected because I hadn't heard of Warhammer until I encountered the original Dawn of War during college. The game was incredibly enjoyable, and I was particularly drawn to the Blood Ravens and their characters, and the characters for all factions. Even the non-characters of the Necrons, they were simply really compelling for me. When Dawn of War 2 was released, the characters were more fleshed out, and I really enjoyed working with them as a team. They felt good. Dawn of War 3 was a letdown, particularly because most of those characters didn't return. While I personally found its visuals somewhat appealing, I never managed to finish the game due to its frustrating gameplay, a sentiment widely shared by the whole player base. Shifting gears from video games, my first Warhammer army was the Blood Ravens. My first initial Kitbash was Gabriel Angelos. He wasn't perfect, but it was an early attempt. Later I created a more generic character who arguably could have been inspired by Aramis, the playable character from Dawn of War 2. As life progressed, I entered a darker period that influenced my painting, and I began using more desaturated tones, which I felt better reflected the grim, dark setting and what I was experiencing. Subsequently, I redid that Aramis character in those darker tones and using 3D printing. I used the Warhammer 40k hero set to create a reasonable Tarkus as the Ancient from Dawn of War Retribution, and Jonas Orion was reasonably rendered using the Space Marine Librarian kit. I still needed an Avitus, which I can create by repurposing a Devastator Marine as a Sergeant, and for Thaddeus I need a basic Assault Marine Sergeant, sans the helmet. For Apollo Diomedes, he presents a more unique modeling challenge. His original design is essentially a scaled-up Space Marine with more impressive shoulder pads. To address this, I have to delve into my bits box and look for parts that really express Diomedes as I played him. For that, I used a Deathwatch Thunderhammer and a generic jump pack. But the shoulder pads proved difficult. Newer Space Marine kits are harder to come by. Consequently, I turned to 3D printing. I happened to have the necessary files, and they printed perfectly in just 38 minutes. So on to painting. I've recently adopted a new priming technique, using lighter, sand-colored primers. This change makes it easier to spot any areas I might miss during the main painting process. It's a bit more work, but I find that I'm a bit more detail-oriented. My painting begins with a brass color. I often think of it as gold, but I prefer it because of its aged appearance. Immediately after the brass, I apply a dark, neutral tone to all of the gray-black edges. Technically it's German gray. Later on I can darken or highlight as necessary. While highlighting is less critical for grim dark styles, the flexibility is a welcome option. To achieve the deepest shadows on the armor, I'll begin with a purple base created by mixing the primary red with the German gray. This mixture will minimize the need for washes. Over this purple, I'll apply the same primary dark red, which complements the purple effectively, ensuring the two colors work well together. I'm currently working with thin, somewhat sloppy applications. I've moved away from the idea of strictly adhering to two thin coats, as I find the textures created by partially transparent layers to be quite appealing. To give the jump pack heads more definition and reinforce their composite construction, I added a purple shade behind them, right in front of the thruster. This shading was also applied to some of the upward-facing armor sections to give them a bit more definition. I'm applying a wash of German gray to the jets, hammer grip, and other selected areas. This is intended to enhance definition without using the purple hue. I deliberately choose to make the paint less matte as it gets brighter. This is because shadows, obviously, should not be shiny, while areas with less shadow should appear more glossy. Looking at the jump packs, I'm glad I chose the black-gray for the central components It really helps to break up the pack into separate, distinct parts, highlighting the dual thrusters. As I build up layers of red, I go brighter and brighter, and mix in paints with more satin finishes. The hammer I had planned on doing with true metallic paints, but the layers of gray washes were really doing it for me, so I just highlighted them and left it there. In this final stage, I focus on maximizing the intensity of the red hues and meticulously refining the lines and details. It's getting those crisp lines between paint colors. It's not so much about panel lining, it's just making sure you're controlling where your highlights are. So that's my favorite Dawn of War characters for you. It's been a while, I've been working on these forever. I like them, and if you like them, hit that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, hit subscribe. If you want to leave a comment, please feel free to down below. I love seeing them, I love responding to them. Let's talk. Take care, we'll see you next time.